my niece's sweet 16 that I paid for, my mom said, "This party is cheap and embarrassing. We'd be better off without you." When I simply nodded and said, "In that case, I'll stop paying their bills," my childhood is marked by one phrase, and one phrase only. Think of your brother. Like when I was 11 and won $200 in a school art contest. But when I showed my parents the check, my mom just frowned and said, "Your brother Michael didn't win anything. You should share this with him." A wave of guilt crashed over me, and I handed Michael $50. But instead of thanking me, he pouted. "Only 50?" My mom sighed and told me to think of my brother, and I ended up giving him $125. Deep down, I knew it wasn't fair. It was my artwork, my achievement. But I did it anyway, because their approval mattered more than my feelings. Fast forward to last month when I turned 32. For the first time in my life, I had real savings. A promotion at work meant I finally had disposable income, which might not sound like much, but to someone who grew up being the family wallet, it felt like freedom. And of course, I wanted to share my good fortune. So when my nephew Sophia's sweet 16 approached, I went all out. I spent $5,000 on the venue, DJ, photographer, decorations, a 3-tier custom cake, and even hired a makeup artist for him and his friends. On the way to the party, I kept telling myself that this would finally show them I wasn't selfish. This would prove I was a good aunt, a good sister, a good daughter. But of course, my hopes were shattered. Because after the party, as I was helping pack up decorations, Michael cornered me in the parking lot. "Did you see Caden's party photos on Instagram last month?" I stared at him blankly, and he just scoffed. His aunt spent $10,000. He had a live band and a champagne fountain. I heard footsteps, and suddenly my mom was beside him. They both stood with their arms crossed, and my mom told me that if I was going to be cheap and embarrass Sophia in front of his friends, then I shouldn't have bothered at all. And before I could point out that Sophia had been glowing with happiness all night, Michael chimed in. "Do you know what they're saying at school? They're calling it the budget party. He's being bullied because you couldn't spend a few more dollars." I did the math in my head, because I always kept track. You see, over the years I'd paid for Michael's wedding tux, $2,000, helped with his mortgage down payment, $10,000, and covered Sophia's tutoring for 3 years. Still, Michael acted like I was the world's greatest disappointment, and I know this might sound pathetic, but I wasn't even angry at first. I just felt tears sting my eyes. My fingers clutched my car keys tighter, remembering the thank you card I'd hoped to receive. And as I stood there being berated, they kept going. "You just got that promotion. You're making good money now, but you're too selfish to properly celebrate your only nephew's milestone." In an instant, my sadness turned to anger. I stared at their entitled faces. Not once during the party had either of them thanked me. Not once had they offered to help with costs. They just showed up, criticized the decorations, and complained the cake wasn't from the trendy bakery across town. I took a deep breath and asked them a simple question. "What did you two contribute to the party?" Michael rolled his eyes. "I'm his father. My presence is my contribution." I kept a completely stoic expression. "And what about Sophia's birthday last year? Or the year before that?" They both looked uncomfortable, because we all knew the answer. I'd paid for those parties too. Well, that was enough for me. I turned and walked toward my car. The second I turned the corner, I stopped. I thought back to all the times I'd emptied my wallet for them, all the times I'd gone without so they could have more. I think that moment was the first time I actually let myself see the truth, and for once, I wanted to do something about it. I turned around and marched back. Michael was already on his phone, probably complaining about me to someone. "One more thing," I said. "Who paid for Sophia's braces?" "Insurance," Michael answered dismissively. I smiled. "What insurance? The one I pay for?" His face went white. "What about his school uniforms, his soccer fees, his summer camp?" The smirk was wiped from his face as he realized it was all me, and that's when my mom tried to intervene. "Now, honey, family helps family." "Really? Then where's my help? Where's my party? When's the last time either of you spent a dime on me?" They both turned to look at each other and had the "oh wait" look plastered on their faces. You see, I'd been covering for them for years, telling Dad that Michael was contributing to household expenses, telling Michael that Mom was helping with Sophia's expenses, creating a web of lies to keep the peace while I paid for everything. I didn't even stick around to watch it unravel. I just left. And even though I felt like a weight had been lifted, it was still really hard. So I spent the entire night alternating between relief and grief. And when I woke up, I noticed my phone had been bombarded with dozens of texts and missed calls. The first voicemail was angry, calling me a selfish brat who ruined Sophia's reputation. By the 10th, they were practically begging, suddenly remembering my birthday was coming up and promising to make it special this year. I had no idea what they had in mind. Full story on channel, link below.